sponsors, Correllian Publishing and the Reverend Don Lewis, as you know, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Witch School books. And so, first of all, hi Don, how you doing? I know
Hello,
that
I'm very good.
many people in the audience know you, but some don't. Can you give a really brief scenario of who you are?
I'm Reverend Don Lewis. I am the Chancellor of the Correllian Nativist Church. I am the Chairman of Correllian Educational Ministries and witchschool.com, our seminary. I am the production head for Magic TV, and I am also in charge of Correllian Publishing.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it is interesting that you're into publishing. People think about a publishing house being very difficult to establish. It took you a long time to get there.
Well, that's true. It did take us a long time to get here, but part of that has to do with the changes in technology. Many years ago, it was very difficult to found a publishing house. Today, with the technology we have now, it's much easier to publish a book, to publish a group of books than it's ever been really at any time in history. And it's still all of the work involved in writing it and editing it, but the printing of it is no longer the difficulty it once was, because it used to be that you had to print a whole big run all at once. And today you can print even one single copy if you want to, or small runs, which was not available before.
Well, that makes absolute sense and everything else. And so you're bringing back out the Witch School books under your own publishing house.
Yes.
They were formerly with Llewellyn. And before that, if I understand, we saw you self-publish. The school self-published its original set.
The Witch School originally self-published their books. At one time, they were available in a comb-bound version. If you have one of those, it's a bit of a collector's item now. A revised version came out through Llewellyn, and these are revised again, and in some cases, considerably revised. And so that, on one hand, they're the same material, but they're also expanded and updated.
Terrific. So what books do you have now available?
Well, we have Lessons for the First Degree. And as you can see, it has a number of things in the table of contents. It has illustrations. It has lots of writing. It's a book. But it is fully illustrated. It has charts where they are needed. It has illustrations of the different exercises that are included to help the student to understand how to do them. I think a little better than just from reading the writing. And so that's one of the major differences from previous editions.
Well, also, doesn't it recognize, if I understand right, it's also got a recognition that makes it very different from the original Witch School First Degree?
Well, that's true. And it's good that you mentioned that. One of the things that has changed over the years in the Correllian tradition is how we are looking at the goddess. Our first priestess, Stephanie Leon Neal, really has led a bit of a revolution in our attitude toward goddess. Traditionally, most Wiccan groups look at the goddess as a triple goddess. We are now looking at the goddess as a fourfold goddess. We have evolved our understanding to include mother, matron, or maiden, mother, matron, and crone. And so 4 aspects rather than merely 3. And this was led by Lady Stephanie and other leading priestesses of the tradition. And it reflects really more of a woman's view of their relationship with goddess, and also how goddess is expressed in the world. So we feel it's a somewhat fuller view of goddess than previous. And that is a major, major change.
And then second degree.
Yes, we have second degree.
And these are coming both in hardcover and softcover, right?
They are. The 2 that I've shown so far are both hardcover, but we have a softback right here, Ritual and Theory and Practice, which is exactly what it sounds like. Second degree, obviously, is the lessons for for second degree. And ritual and theory and practice is also part of our second degree, or it stands alone perfectly well on its own, because it's about both the theory and the practice of particularly public ritual in temples, ritual at events, but it also would enrich private practice as well.
And now in the second degree, you've also made another major change in the idea that under sensitivity for a lot of people, you took out physiology, or
Yes, we removed the physiology section, or rather, we altered it. It now focuses primarily on palmistry, whereas it formerly included a number of other forms of physiognomy that are basically outdated at this point. And some people felt that they were really not appropriate to the modern world. So it also made that particular chapter very, very long. So we revised it to focus on palmistry in particular, which is the most popular form of physiognomy.
And of course, it added a lot of color, and all of these have added color pictures in a way that older books did not have.
Yes. So, for example, we have charts in the palmistry section that illustrate where lines are, what the there we go.
There you go.
The different shapes of the hand and so forth. We have an astrology section, which includes all the different astrological glyphs. We have a section that deals with hieroglyphic writing and also how to use it for divination, runes.
So this makes it very different than that. Then you have the ritual and theory.
Yes. Ritual and theory and practice.
And that hasn't changed very much.
No, it did not really change.
No.
It has been edited. So there's a small amount of change, but it does not have the kind of major changes the degree books have.
And now let's get to the third degree, which is a lot of people consider the best book of the series.
Yes. Many people have said that.
Even people of other traditions thought it was a strong entry for the third degree. And I think it answers the question. Everyone's Wicca 101, they argue that this is a much deeper book than that.
Yes, this one is the third degree deals with what Lady Bitterwind, our former first elder, used to call the witchness of the why. Why things are the way they are, how the universe is structured, why magic is what it is, why the soul is what it is. It focuses very heavily on the deeper ideas behind the things that we do. All of the books do discuss these things, but third degree goes into far more detail. It also deals with far more advanced techniques, obviously, than the first two do. And it also talks about things like working with the community, running a group, etc., which are also very important things that are often ignored when people are teaching, because they tend to focus on theology and forget the practicality. So we tried to make sure that we address all of those things. And the third degree, obviously, it too has been updated. It has illustrations and so forth that were not previously there. Here's one illustrating the nature of the soul and its relationship to deity. So it deals with a lot of those deeper subjects that people so often comment on wanting to see. Both first and second degree deal with a lot of important information, and they deal with some of those deeper concepts at an introductory level, but third degree really goes into detail.
So where can they find these books?
You can find them at Correllian.com. I beg your pardon, at CorrellianPublishing.com. You can find them at, and you can find them through Correllian.com. You can find them at Amazon as well.
And let me keep reminding everybody, if you're going to order from Amazon and your major organizations, a lot of the major pagan organizations, a lot of them have Amazon Cares, utilize that function. that is another way to get money into our community and to function well with it. So if you do order from Amazon, Amazon cares. But
Yes,
it's
indeed.
different, I
And
guess, ordering from Correllian Publishing, it comes more directly from you.
yes,
And
and
you,
also, if people request it, I will sign the book.
that's what I was going to ask and everything else. And so the books are individually ordered. And now you're going to also give a 4-book hardcover set.
Yes, the 4 books we've just discussed are available as a single set
Mm-hmm.
with a display box to keep them together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's first, second, third degree, and ritual and theory and practice that are part of that set.
All right. And these also synchronize with the Witch School system
Yes,
at the Witch School, at Witch School.
yes, they
So,
do.
and everything else. So there it is. So the Witch School things about that. So let me ask one question. I guess out of the ritual and practice, you have a Yule ritual in there. If you
Yes, we do.
that, what is your practice? Do you have any one practice that role that isn't necessarily in those, or how are you going to practice Yule this year?
Oh, goodness. Well, the thing that Yule and Midsummer both really represent to me and is present in the Ritual and Theory and Practice book is that when something reaches the height of its power, the moment when it is
Mm-hmm.
perfect, for want of a better way to word it, then it must change. Change is the constant of the universe. When we have come to that longest night, well, then the nights must grow shorter because you can only go so far. Yin can only go so far before it has to turn back and become yang. Yang can only go so far before it turns back and becomes yin. That's why if you look at the Taijutsu image of yin and yang, you see them in that particular relationship to one another. And this is one of the underlying ideas of most metaphysics under different terms. So to me, the festival of Yule really is about the constant life and growth of the universe, the fact that it never stops.
And there you go. So CorrellianPublishing.com, you can get these books out there. And you can go ahead and do it. And if you want to take the Witch School class, the first degree, it's on witchschool.com.
Yes.
And so, yeah, there you go. Correllian Publishing, the 4 books out there ready. And now they're called Correllian. They're more reflection of the Correllian. And so, yeah. And if you have any of the older books out there. Let me ask one last question for those people who are book collectors. Living the Wiccan Life.
Yes.
It's still available through Llewellyn, a few more copies, that sort of thing, I believe.
I'm not certain that it is actually.
Okay. So if you see one, copy it, because when we do bring it out, it's going to be a new book. This is it,
Yeah.
it was so dedicated to its time. It's really a historical Lady Crystal's historical story, I think, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
So
if you have one, it will not be like the next one.
And so there you go. All righty, folks. So thank you. We're on to the next part of the marathon. I thank everybody out there. And remember, spend with your local community and you're going to see the dollars expand your community. And that's what we're out here to do. Thank you, Reverend Don. And do you have any last words for the people?
Well, I want to wish everyone a happy Yuletide. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, a happy Midsummer.
Absolutely. And on to giving you another option for your Yuletide greetings for everybody. Remember, stock those stuff.